today I have with me Fatima Hassan doing her makeup, and we're going to be hearing about her empowerment journey and how she overcame challenges in her life. And then stay till the end because I'm going to give you guys also tips on how I've done her makeup. And then we're going to do a quick meditation together as well. All right, so very welcome to my studio, Fatima. Thank you for your time today. And let's get started.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me, and this is amazing. You're just doing such an amazing thing to connect all of this together.
Thank you.
My journey to empowerment, actually, I was looking for my own identity. I went for transformation because I had failed in so many things. I've been working, but I never saw progress in my life, and I went through a divorce. I became so sad in life, and there reached a point where I didn't have self-esteem, and I was feeling so low. I started communicating with people, and when I reached that point where I felt like I needed to find my identity because I didn't know who I was anymore. So I went for a transformational coaching for myself. I wanted to just find myself again and be the person who was outgoing, somebody who was liked challenges and all of that. So when I went for transformation for myself, I went through the journey and I realized there's so many people who are going through what I'm going. There's so many people who are feeling lonely because they don't want to talk about what has happened in their lives. So many people who are judging themselves because of a lot of things that have happened in their lives. And at the same time, I wanted to start something that I can be my own boss. But because I didn't have the courage, and I always felt like I'm not good enough, I cannot do, or I cannot even start anything. So when I went through the transformation journey and I started seeing the change in myself, I decided, why don't I start helping other women changing their perspective and seeing life in a different way? Because I got myself back, I built my courage, I started doing things that I never thought that I could do. And that encouraged me to go for coaching. But I realized also I was coaching people for a long time. That's my passion. I like helping people find their way or their inner power, or I always advising people. But when you doubt yourself, you reach that point where you don't feel like, even if you advise someone, you don't feel like people are connecting with you because somehow you just lose your purpose in life. And that's why I went for transformation. I just wanted to find what's my purpose in life. Why am I here? Life can't always be bad. There's something out there for me. And that's how my journey started.
I love that.
One of the major obstacle I had was fear. I had so much fear of failure. I had so much fear of making mistakes or what people will think about me. And that's one thing that I worked on, to become bold and do things without caring whether people will agree with me or people will judge. I just had to live my vision. So when I started working on my fear of making mistakes or failing again, I just started growing and changing my life. So one of the obstacles that I had so much was fear. And the other obstacle that I had is, I'll say, culture. So when I went through a divorce, I come from Africa.
Where in Africa are you from?
From Kenya.
Okay.
So people say religion and culture, and people judge you in so many ways. So you try to please people. So I don't want people to judge me. I went through a divorce and I'm trying to do things, and you're coming out of the box of where you expected to be a certain kind of woman. When I felt like that I was locking myself because of people's expectations, and I started finding my own way, so breaking that barrier between culture and who I want to be was the biggest obstacle that changed my life.
Yeah.
I just had to decide to find who am I, what really defines me and what I want in life.
Yeah.
And understand my culture also and balance both of them, not to just walk out of what I am so that I can find a good life, but have both of them and become the person that I wanted to be. So let me just say, who I had to become was quite a challenge, because if you don't know who you are, it takes a long time for you to find yourself.
That's true.
But I had this urge of just becoming a woman who was powerful, a woman who...
What does a powerful woman mean to you?
A powerful woman is a woman who knows her values and know my worth. And that's something that I felt like I didn't know my worth. Yes. I didn't feel I was worth a lot of things. So I wanted to feel that I understand my values and my worth as a woman, and understanding my purpose. So I decided to take ownership. And I think that's one thing that really changed my perception of how I was seeing myself. I stopped looking at what other people are doing or what circumstances are making me be in that situation, and decided to not go with the emotion, but to choose to just change my life. There was no option. I decided to change who Fatima is. So when I felt like I don't have anything to give to the world anymore, I just went home. I came to Dubai and I decided to go for vacation, and I decided I'm not going to come back to Dubai again, because I've been doing the same job for 9 years.
Which is what?
As a teacher.
And
I felt like I'm not having anything new in my life. And everything that I do is failing. I tried to do businesses, they failed. I just went through a divorce, and for everybody telling you that you're failing even in everything, and even in your marriage you can't be consistent, so that was so painful. And when coming to Dubai, we are always coming from a third world country. You come believing that if I come here, I'm going to change my life. So if you go 8 years or 10 years down the road and you see like you haven't done anything, you haven't changed your life, and things are getting worse, you end up feeling useless. So I decided it's time for me to go home, and I'm not going to come back because there's nothing for me to do. And then I went home and I met some of my old friends, and everybody was settled and they were doing businesses. And I'm not saying they were rich, but they were settled and they were doing things in life. And you sit there, and the question I was asking myself is, what is wrong with me? What is happening to me? So I started crying and complaining to my mom. And I was telling my mom the way I have bad luck. I think everything doesn't work for me. And my mom goes like, yeah, Fatima, I think you really have bad luck. And I go like, okay, I don't want to hear this from you right now, Mom. But then she said something that really changed everything. She said, I know you're a good girl and you're always helping me and you're always trying to do things. And everything you do doesn't work. So I'm questioning myself as a mother, what did I do wrong?
Aww.
And that was so painful.
My God.
I just realized that I'm forgetting that I'm hurting people around me. I'm not the only one who's feeling the pain. That I forgot that I have people who care for me, and especially my mom.
Yeah.
And she's been through a lot too for me to be the person I was despite all the failures. And that was it. Like, I wouldn't like to see my mom blaming herself again.
Yeah.
I couldn't take that.
So that was the turning point.
That was the turning point.
Yeah.
I decided now I'm going to find who is Fatima, and I'm going to turn this around for me and for her, because it was so painful.
How long ago was this?
So this was 3 years back.
Yeah.
So I came back with one thing: I'm going to turn my life around. No matter what happens, now this is where I'm going to find who is Fatima. Yes. And I'm not going to be defined by what is happening outside. I'm going to just change my life around.
Yes.
And that's when I went into coaching, and the rest is history. So
I love that story. That is fabulous. And so when you were a teacher, what made you become a teacher?
Oh,
but you were a teacher in Africa, not here.
No, I was teaching here.
You were teaching here as well. Okay,
so being a teacher was actually not my dream.
Yeah.
What my dream was, I wanted to become a nurse more than everything else. What people are dreaming to become doctors, I just wanted to become a nurse. Unfortunately, my dream didn't become true because my father became sick when I just finished high school, So I started working at a very young age. I think by the age of 20, I was working in Saudi as a nanny.
Oh.
And when I went to Saudi to work as a nanny, I went so that I could pay for my college and my schooling. And at that time, my dad was sick, so I remember reaching there and seeing life is so different. You know, it's a new culture, new things. So I was almost giving up. I'm gonna call my dad and like, you know, I'm not doing this, yeah? I don't even know how to raise kids. This is a challenge. Okay, we're raised differently in Africa, you know.
Yes, yes.
In Africa, you don't listen, you get a smack and you sit down. And that's how we are raised.
And that's how you're raised, exactly. Even in Iran, like, kids are so fragile these days.
Yes.
Everyone's so sensitive. Like,
Yeah.
you say boo, and they're like, she
Yes,
insulted me.
yeah.
Like, there's no backbone in kids now, and parents are just becoming so complacent.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, tell me if I'm wrong, do you think that it's because their parents were so strict with them that they're trying to do exactly the opposite and be friends with their kids in order to make up for the times that they couldn't be friends with their own parents? And
I can say from experience is that the way we were raised, there was no compassion, you know. It was so strict that you felt like you were missing that love between you and your parents.
Yeah.
But that's what I felt when I was young. But now that I've grown and I realized my mom had 7 kids.
Oh my God, really?
And she was the only one without a
Wow.
nanny. And we were like
Really?
2 years up.
7 kids by herself?
Yeah. So I'm
Was there any help? I mean, the culture is not like the men help around the house too,
No.
right?
What happened is her raising 7 kids who are like 2 years apart, and you don't have a nanny. People didn't have the luxury that we are having now.
Yeah.
Life was so different. So the only way she knew was to just smack you so that she can have order in the house. And now that I've grown, I see like, if she didn't do that, if I didn't get that smack, I wouldn't be the person I am right now.
It's the discipline that
Yes.
we have that the kids nowadays don't. You know, we respect the elders. We respect age. Look straight.
So it's the discipline. I think my mom had to do what she had to do. And the only way was best is to just put discipline in the house. And, you know, when people talk about abuse, I never grew up thinking it was abuse because I used to see everybody being smacked. So I used to see everybody being smacked. So for us, it was not abuse. It was the order of the day that if you don't listen,
It's the part of the rule.
yeah, you're going to be smacked. To answer your question, I think everybody's trying to make up for, like, I don't want my children to go through what I went through.
Yes.
Kind of, it's good, and at the same time it's bad because I feel children don't have the discipline that we had before.
Yeah.
I'm not agreeing with beating or of that, but I think having a little bit of discipline and
Respect.
is essential for
And
kids.
unfortunately, our parents' generation, it was out of fear that we respected them.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not the respect, like the respect you would have for someone that you understand, right? And then you respect them because you
Fear them, but you love them.
fear was a sort of respect, yeah.
But you see, when a lot of people talk about being abused and talk about, I remember my mom beating me nicely, but I've never hated my mom for beating me because at the same time I knew my mom loved me. There was that love and discipline at the same time, and it's so weird to explain to someone. And I'm always telling people,
Yeah, because it's
I
not,
used to know
it's
that
not condoned. Like, you
No.
can't just hurt someone and love them at the same time.
But
Look down.
But I never grew up saying my life was messed up because my mom abused me or my mom beat
Right,
me.
yeah, because you understood.
I never took it like my mom beat me, so she abused me. Although I wouldn't do that to my child because time changes and things are different.
Yes.
But I never took as the fact that my life was not the way I wanted because my mom beat me with a slipper.
Yeah.
I understood that she had to do what she had to do as a mother.
Yeah.
And when I was talking to her that day and she was doubting herself as a mother, that was the most painful thing because even with the slipper, I'm here because of her. Yani, she's my best supporter.
Yeah.
So that's what I realized. I realized we have a lot of things in our lives, yeah?
Yes.
Our past. And if you want to become a new person, you want to change, I realized I had to let go of everything that was my past. Otherwise, I'll just be trying and I'm holding back to things that are not important. And letting go. I was talking to someone and she told me, but you know, going back to those memories, sometimes they trigger. I said, you can go back, learn from them, but they don't have to define you. But you have to accept that they happened, whatever happened in your life. So like, for example, if you went through a horrible divorce, or if you went through child abuse, or whatever scenario that you went to it has happened in your life, it is an insignificant thing that has happened in your life. But if you don't let go of it, you're going to be living with the emotions and be the victim. And you have to accept that that thing happened to you. So the only way to deal with it is to embrace it. No, it's part of you, but it doesn't have to define you.
Yeah, of course.
And you move on with your life.
Yes.
So that's one thing that I really went back to, understanding where are my fears coming from. Because when you have all these things, you create the limiting beliefs, you know, those voices, you're not good enough, you're worthy, you're not, all of these things. So defining those moments that brought those thoughts in your mind is very important. And that's what I decided to do. Walk back, see every belief that I have bad about myself. I wanted to know where it's coming from. What happened that I had to create that belief.
Yes.
And that allowed me to go deeper, to understand really who I was. And I think that when people ask you who are you, it's not what you do or what you earn or where you're living, but it's actually what defines you as a person. What are your values?
Yes, exactly.
So when you come to understand who you really are, then that's the time your mind shift really shifts.
Yeah.
And I can say from experience, when I started to understand what are my values, who is Fatima, what is my why, and I think that's one thing that I was really looking for in my life. What is my purpose in this world?
Yeah.
I don't think I've been brought to this world to suffer.
No.
I think God has so many plans for us. We just don't see the blessings and we don't work towards them.
Yes. Yes.
So when I understood who I was, and that's when my mind shift started changing and things started happening. I started seeing things changing for me. Yeah. Because I started believing in who I was and what I represent. Let me give an example of what really happened in my life.
Yeah.
So when I went through a divorce, 6 months after that, I became sick and I went to the doctor. Yeah. And I was having pains in my stomach. And after I did all the tests, I had this talk with the doctor, and he ended up telling me, Fatma, there is like a 95% you can't have children. So sitting there, I can imagine myself, I've just gone through a divorce. I'm failing in everything else, but also I can't have kids. So what do you ask yourself? You ask yourself, like, what did I do wrong to deserve all of this? What is it that God is trying to tell me, or what God is teaching me, or what did I do wrong in life? And I think when I talked to my mom, when I came back to Dubai, I was feeling like I'm a very hopeless woman. And when I went through the journey of transformation, and this is when I'm telling you, when you go deeper and deeper to understand yourself, yeah. I realized something. I used to cry all the time saying to myself, why can't I have children? What did I do wrong? If I can't have anything good, at least I can have a child. But when my mindset changed to say that I'm not defined by what is happening outside, I realized God has a reason for everything, yeah? I am not a mother to have a child, and there's a child who doesn't have a mother who needs love. So instead of me feeling sad, why don't I do what I was meant to do in this world? Give love to someone who deserves love.
Yes.
And that adopt a child and make it like yours. The thing is, I stopped feeling like I'm not being defined as a woman because you don't have a child.
Yeah.
And that doesn't define me.
Yes.
And when I understood that I don't have to have a child of my own.
Yes.
I can give love to someone who doesn't have something that I need. That's changed my perspective, and that was it. I was like, I'm going to adopt a child. And I'm going to be the mother who I want to be, not by what society wants, but what kind of mother do I want to be, and what do I want to give to the world. It's come to that point where somebody asked, who did you become? I said, I became a woman who doesn't see impossibilities anymore. I don't think there's impossibilities in this world.
No.
Right now, I can say I'm a very one resilient woman.
Yes.
Not because I've overgone all these things, but because I realized something, that everything that happens in my life is a story, and I choose how to tell that story.
Yes.
I can either say it as a sad story, or I can work on it and make it to my benefit and become the person I want.
Yes.
And not everything is going to become easy to me, so I need to improvise and build my life the way I want it. So I don't cry and say I don't have or I can't do. I know whatever I have right now with me has something that can help me to change my life and do whatever I want. So when I talk about resilience, I know that I can do whatever I want in life as long as I believe in me. There's going to be a challenge, but then that's the way change happens. If I don't get challenges, then I won't grow. So
Amen. Yeah.
if somebody else could do it, I refuse to say that I cannot.
Yes.
And so one more thing I realized. So like, for example, I give you an example. I told you when people come from certain parts of the world or things happen to our lives, we tend to sit and hold on to those things, yeah?
Yeah.
From my journey, I realized everything that I was holding and cry for that was not happening in my life was holding me back to becoming who I wanted to become.
Yeah.
So everything that happens in our life is significant. There's no reason or excuse that we give to ourselves that is not significant.
Yes.
But the question is, what do you do about it? Do you go with the emotions or do you go with progress? That's your choice. So what did it make me feel? I just see the transformation is amazing. You just see like it's two different people and you have talent. That's amazing. I'm looking at myself and I feel younger. And I think that's the connection when you look at yourself and see the beauty out and the in is connected. So it empowers you and it's valuing yourself. So this is what I'm learning. Like if you value yourself, you need to value yourself all the way.
Yeah.
You cannot just take it mind-wise.
Yeah.
It's not just valuing yourself inside, also outside. So what can I say right now? When I came, if you tell me, do I feel my confidence is more now? I'll tell you definitely, because I look at myself and I feel, wow, you know. So I will say your technique is amazing. And I'm a very simple person with makeup, and your technique is...
So what do you normally do with makeup?
I just put foundation and eyeliner.
Okay.
So I don't do much. But your technique is amazing. I've gone to so many salons, and what I learned is you don't put a lot of makeup. So you make me look natural. And that's the thing. I look myself. Even if I look myself in the mirror, I don't feel like I've changed. It's feel like I look more brighter and younger, but I feel natural. And that's one thing I learned, that your makeup makes you feel... It doesn't change you who you are. You just feel the same, and that's nice.
I like it. I like it too. Yeah. Okay.
So I feel natural, yani, like I wouldn't mind, because sometimes when you go to people and they put this so much makeup and you look like you have colors on your face,
it looks like
you don't
you're
feel
a
yourself.
person.
But this one you feel like I am myself, and that's what I was saying, the confidence.
Yeah.
If you look good outside and inside also you feel the confidence. So I know it's related so much as so much. And, thank you for having me, and this is amazing. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I'm not a makeup person, but you made me love makeup today.
For eyebrows, I used the BH Cosmetics brow palette, and I first combed through her brows just to make sure that there wasn't anything in there. And then I went in with the Creme products on the bottom of the palette. So you see these are the cream ones, and I used a mixture of the medium brown and the light brown just to fill in the gaps in her brows. I didn't want it to be too dark or too harsh. And I just used an angled brow brush from MAC to draw in hair-like strokes and to fill it in.
For her eyelids, I used the Anastasia Beverly Hills Cream Concealer in the shade number 4. And 4 really helps to brighten up her eyelids, since she had a lot of dark circles around on her eyelids, and it helped to cancel out those dark circles and create a blank canvas for the eyeshadows that we are going to now apply. The palette that I'm using is the Huda Beauty, the Desert Dusk palette, and it looks like this with a lot of gorgeous warm shades like the sunrise. So to start off with, I'm going to pat on with a flat shader brush this beautiful orange shade. So I'm going to pick up orange and we're just going to go directly onto that wet concealer. So she has a little bit of hooded lid because it goes in. So we're going to do you with your eyes open and going a little bit higher than her natural eyelid. Now you can close your eyes, and I'm going to start to pat this downwards. I'm going to do orange in the middle, and then I'm going to do brown oud in the outer corner here. And I'm just going to extend this up a little bit. Just bring it at an angle to just taking it a little bit wider to the outer corner. So is the camera? Yeah. So right there. So it's easier to pack on and then blend the edges to buff out, because we want to make sure we get the most opacity. And then for the front, we're going to go in with amber. Packing this into following just the shape of her eyes. So just taking a clean fluffy brush and it's just circles, I'm blending in the edges. So I'm literally just smudging the edge of that shadow. This softens the lines so it doesn't leave any harsh lines. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is pop in some shimmer on your eyelids. So I'm going to go in with Royal, and I'm going to use my finger for this. So just tapping in that shade. Just tapping gently deposits that shade. And now I'm going to go in with a little bit of Angelic, which is this beautiful shade. I'm just going to tap that right into the center. Get a little bit in here. All right, and I'm just going to blend those edges now. For the inner corner, I'm just going to pop in some of this gold, which is called Nefertiti. And this is going to come right here.
So one trick I like to do to really define her eyes after I apply the eyeshadow is to apply black kohl pencil in the top inner rim of her eyelashes. So I lift the eyes and I kind of, the skin, the flesh that you see inside the lash, you want to color that in with the black kohl pencil. And then you want to use the same pencil to just define the top lashes a little bit. And then use a smudger brush, or if you have a pencil that has a smudger brush on the other end, like this brush I use, like this pencil, I then went in and just smudged that out. So it kind of gives it a more definition, it's smoky look, but without it looking too harsh. I also applied a little bit to the bottom lashes, but only to the outer corner. And then I smudged it going a little bit to the center. And then I set that using oud from the Huda Beauty, the Desert Dust palette, with a small detailed brush, which was flat, and it helped to really define and get as close to the lash line as possible. And then I took a pencil brush to just blend those edges out, to smoke it out a little bit, bringing it a little bit down to make the eyes look a little bit bigger. I took a black powder from the shadow palette, from the brow palette, because the Huda Beauty Desert Dust didn't have a black shade in it. And I love to use the palette, the brow palette, with the black powder instead of a black eyeshadow. It kind of does the same thing. And I set the eyeliner on the top. And then here I used a shimmer from the palette with my fingers. I put a medium tone shimmer in the center and a lighter shade in the inner corner. And then I used a bullet brush to just blend this out a little bit. And then I used a wipe to clean under her eyes and really pulled it to the side of her eyes to extend the eyeliner. To open up her eyes, I curled her eyelashes using a lash curler. I love to do this before applying mascara. I just think it really helps to open up the eyes and curl the lashes, especially if you have clients or people with like really straight eyelashes. And here I used a liquid liner to just along the lash line, just to find that and bring it a little bit, make it a little bit more black. And then I used a mascara. To set deep toned skin tones with a setting powder, never go in with a translucent powder that is beige. Always use a shade that is closest to this color of the skin tone. In this case, I used Topaz, which was like a brownish color, which was really dark and warm, and that really helped to set her face. To brighten under her eyes and her T-zone, I took a wet sponge and I dipped it into a little bit of a banana colored powder, and I used that to set under her eyes and on her T-zone area, and then I used the Topaz colored powder to dust it up. This will help to ensure it's blended beautifully. The highlighter that I used was a copper-based color. I think I used the Artiste Couture La Bronze, and I used a fan brush to apply this. This just makes their skin look like glass. And I also took a little bit and did it on the bridge of her nose. And then once I applied the highlighter, then I went in with a blush, and I used the Anastasia Beverly Hills, the Trio, for deep skin tones, and I mixed those three together and I just dabbed it along her cheekbones, just in the apples, and a little bit on the bridge of her nose. And this just really brought the look together beautifully. I also highlighted a little bit on the Cupid's bow. I went back in to fill in her eyebrows a little bit. I just felt like it needed a little bit more definition. So I took a little bit of a powder, like a medium brown powder, and I kind of filled it in just to give it more definition. Yeah, and then I used the spoolie to comb it through just to make sure it was spread out well. To line her lips, I just went in with a dark brown lip pencil, and I just went and followed the natural line of her lips. I did the top and the bottom and the sides. I left the center free of the lip pencil, and I just used a nude colored sort of pinkish glossy tone just in the center. And then I liked how that came out. I used my fingers to just blend it out, and then I just went back in just to fill it in and blend the edges just a little bit, bringing it a little bit more in just to make her lips look a little bit more fuller. I mean, it was full already, but just to give it a more definition look. And then I just sprayed a little bit with the Maria Badusco before applying her mascara to the lower lashes. Never do this after, because otherwise it's going to smudge.
And we're done. So thank you very much, Fatima, for participating in my YouTube channel. I hope you guys enjoyed her story of empowerment and her journey to really overcoming difficulties in her life and her idea of what it means to be empowered. And I certainly got inspired by her story as well. And I think she looks fabulous. So I hope you took away some tips from what I taught you, and the viewers as well. So if you have any questions or comments, please comment below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends. And let's grow this community of empowered women on this platform. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time.